So, hey, hello, my name is Jan. I am German, I'm an engineer, and if you like to understand why I'm in the UK and in the HR function, that is something for a long evening. But I've been with Vodafone many, many years in very different roles, so I'm very grateful for the opportunities that Vodafone always gave me to experience the organization from very different angles. I was always completely untalented in the roles that I did. So I was always on the corner of high passion and really have no clue about my role there. And that explains a lot about why I'm standing in front of you today as well, because I'm super passionate about shaping something. Right? So I love to go into function which are not that great, maybe at this point of time, and leading teams that are a little bit struggling. And over time, I think I came to the idea that is what I'm about. I'm about to shape the future, and so I think we all do this. I think all of our businesses do this. We all shape the future for our employees in our organization, for our customers, where we are leading our organizations to, and that's what I would like to talk a little bit about today. But it will be really quickly. It will feel a bit more like a speed dating than in a long evening. So I will rush a little bit through the stuff because I wanted to have it as interactive as possible and have the opportunity for you to at least shout some questions to me that I can divert to my two lovely colleagues who are here today as well. Who will also take care if I say something highly politically incorrect, which I do often. They will tackle me and will pull me off the stage. All right, so far so good. Shaping the future, we all know digital transformation. When I talk about digital transformation, I mean everything, right? I make my life simple. I will talk about AI, machine learning, robot process automation, all at the same time. I call it just digital transformation. It makes it simpler for me and should be helpful for us. So, who knows what that is? So that is a supercomputer. It's the Cray YMP. That was the first supercomputer that I experienced when I was in school. I had a school internship in our local nuclear research development. That's the kind of things that you have in Germany. You have your local nuclear research development department. So I was in the mathematical institute. I think I was 15 or 16. And every morning for a week, I passed by this Cray. And it cost $20 million. I think with a bit more money, you can select even Alcantara leather for the seats. And it was able to calculate 333 million floating point operations per second. That's awesome. And for me, it was fantastic to see this. And these are my two girls. Christmas Day last year, and they have two Raspberry Pis. Raspberry Pi 3. It's cost $30. And how do you think does this computer compare in terms of computing power with the supercomputer, the Cray YMP, for which you needed a full room and seats? Roughly. Anyone any idea? Same, yeah. It's 10 times faster. That means it's 6 million times cheaper per floating point operations. And I know we human beings have a struggle with identifying exponential developments. And that was quite impressive for me as well, to just reflect a little bit about what has happened in the meantime. So the fastest supercomputer nowadays is Chinese. It's the first supercomputer that actually topped into the top 10. It's completely built by the Chinese. There's no American screw, little chip, whatever, in there, not a UK element in there as well. It's a fully Chinese. How fast do you think does this compare to the Cray YMP? Roughly. 100 times. It's not 100, it's not 1,000, it's not 1,000,000. It's 280 million times faster. So reflecting on this, I'm pretty confident that in 15 to 20 years, there will be one processor, one computer system, which has the raw computing power of a human brain. I completely believe in this. And just 15 years later, there will be one single computer system which has the human brain power of all human beings collectively. Doesn't have the intelligence, doesn't have all the other elements that we use our human brains for, but it has the raw power of that. This will disrupt everything. And I will have a conversation with Fuel 50 later about what it really means on career path, because I don't know what I will do in 5 years and 10 years, and maybe you don't know. So we all feel at the same time, please lift your hand if you don't, but I think we all feel at the same time excitement about what this future can bring and anxiety. I feel it. I feel it right now while I speak to you, because a couple of years before I took this photo, I was in an assessment center at Vodafone, and there was Rob Schutter, the CEO of the Netherlands, sitting in front of me and saying, Jan, how do you see the future of your girls in work? And I started to cry. And I haven't thought about this question. It's just my immediate emotional reaction was crying, which is not the best thing to do in an assessment center. Good, okay, so what is our history? I think it's important. I wanted to share with you a little bit of what we do at Vodafone, and it's important to understand a little bit where a company is coming from. Vodafone is still quite new. We still behave a little bit like a teenager, which is interesting because we also acquired some companies which are significantly older than teenagers and embrace them and in our culture and so on. But we had some interesting periods of time. And what we are now embarking into is called the digital Vodafone. It's a digital telco. It is the digital transformation within Vodafone. And my first lesson, we will figure it out while we do it. This is the kind of mentality that we apply to this. We call it digital Vodafone, but we can't tell where we're ending up to. And what we mean with that is you can structure the world always in 5 or 3 or 4 boxes or 9 boxes, but this is the world structured in 5 levels. So you still have businesses that are purely analog. So I had a wine shop in Aachen where I always went to, who always asked me, what shall I do with this internet? And I said, I have no clue. Maybe you can put your price list on it. But he didn't do it. So he had his customers who went by, and he didn't had any means to digitize his business. He's still happy doing it. He has his price list now on his internet. I figured out last week while I was preparing for it. We as Vodafone, we are somewhere on this exploit level. We use digital tools, we use AI, we use higher view, we test this in HR processes. We have AI smart bots who work with customers on customer services. And so we already test and try something, but obviously we feel like we have to do it because otherwise we will be disrupted by these players who are purely digital from the beginning. WhatsApp is a good example. WhatsApp, how many employees did they have? 18, I saw. I always forget this number when they were sold for more than $1 billion. So they were a truly digital business. They disrupted our business significantly. We lost billions, and I mean this, billions of EBITDA through WhatsApp. Because we launched 3G, that enabled over-the-top players to use data connectivity for other services that we were charging for before. So we were not really great in responding and understanding the implications of it. That's the kind that you need to tackle me now. So what we learned from it, right? So we launched 5G quite soon. 5G will have a different network capabilities, much faster. Latencies will go down, so you don't need to wait until something responds. You can do live surgery, remote live surgery with 5G networks. So this will enable new services, and again, we are trying to figure out what that means with our business model right now. Good, so far the model is understood. So when our leadership team sees that, our culture kicks in, and I will come back to this later. So, first lesson, everything is connected. If you drive a digital transformation in your business, you tackle all elements of the organization. If you're not purely digital, is there any business in there which is not purely, purely digital? Any business which just started as an app business or something like that? So everything, you touch everything. You touch leadership models, performance management models, processes. Obviously, you might implement Agile as a working practice that will disrupt your whole organizational structure. All of this, everything is connected. So when we structure this for us, we work on these 4 elements within the HR department. So that's why how we try to connect the things. So a brand with purpose, which helps us to have a direction. employee experience at the heart of it. We have been speaking about this the morning. Then this drives customer experience, and obviously digital transformation is important to also support our customers with better services. And then overall, the digital Vodafone, what does it mean on the operating model? What does it mean with our organizational structures, etc.? These have become now 4 core people priorities that will stay for a while. I already said that. So while the future is completely unknown, I think no one can predict within Vodafone as well as in your organization how your business will look like in 5 years. You have to start. We all had to start at some point. And we need to start with some purpose and direction. So meaning maybe the purpose is the only direction. So because in some business, it means that the business model will have to change significantly. So you have to take a step back to say about what we're really about. So I like the BT example. At the end, we are here to make sure that people are able to exchange information, can talk to each other, and so on. It's not about the broadband. The broadband is the means to get there. So sometimes it's important to take a step back again. What is our true purpose in the organization? And what is also the values that already are in the organization that support this purpose? Because these will be the values that you will need to build on the transformation as well. So what we did is we have this key purpose. We connect everybody to live a better today and build a better tomorrow. It's super hard for me to memorize it, and I think everyone at Vodafone finds it really hard to memorize it. But we have a generally good feeling about the organization. We have a good purpose. So we call, for example, our CSR activities Mobile for Good. And we created some really fantastic good things with mobile services. And one of the things that we do is immediate emergency network. So if there is a tsunami somewhere, we go in, we build our Vodafone networks up. The foundation does that, and then the people who actually help the communities there will have ways to communicate. We are now on the journey to make this more precise and simpler in terms of what does it really mean? What do we do here for? What do we do for women? Reconnect, for example, is something that Vodafone has become quite famous for, to get women back who had been out of jobs for a while, etc. So we create more purpose around this, more tangible purpose around that. Good, then it's important to get an external perspective to mobilize leadership teams, because what is happening as a leader, a normal leader also in Vodafone, maybe 50 years, 40 to 55 years, for these people, I wanted to say for him, for these people, this whole digital bit is a bit like something coming from outside, right? Because I still use SMS more than I use WhatsApp. So what was important for us, I think, to get some external perspective and to just get this feeling. So the Singularity University is a good way to make the future more transparent to the leaders, who then really get nervous about what it means for the business. That will really work well in our case. One of the key lessons, if I ever write a book about large-scale change, it will be around using the current culture to change the culture. And Vodafone is internally also highly competitive. We are ultra competitive externally, but internally we are also highly competitive. So we like flop and top lists, and I actually always call them hit and shit lists, but I'm not, don't say that. And so, for example, when I introduced the Net Promoter Score to Vodafone, we did it in the hit and shit list. You also had the line managers who had really good Net Promoter Scores with the frontline teams, and you had those who weren't that great. And we were talking to those who weren't that great, and we didn't necessarily develop them, right? So we just said, oh, it's not good enough, goodbye. So, so that's what we do. So we have to start with this culture. This is obviously not a good culture to be empathetic with your customers, right? But you have to start with that. And that's what we do also, for example, in digital transformation. So this is so typical Vodafone, little flags with the little countries that we are in, and the graphs and so on. This is a number of squads that we have, agile teams that we have in various markets. And as soon as we started counting just the number of squads, it accelerated the process. That's typical Vodafone, and you can find out what might be working in your organization. What are the cultural elements that can drive the change in a positive way, even if at some point you have to get rid of these cultural elements. Make it personal. So I have a little video that showcases what it means. So the video is about a program that should help our senior leaders in the organization, also like Adam and me, to teach more about what that is, this digital thing. Yeah, so it doesn't resonate that well with me, but the idea is that the digital ninjas support the SLT, the senior leadership team members, the top 200 roughly and a bit more, in using digital tools, in using the workplace tools that we nowadays use, like Yammer or whatever, and OneDrive, or whoever used the OneDrive before. And it worked. It worked because it was personal, and they had to do something with that. They needed to respond to it, and they had to learn something that was important for them to role model then in their own teams. What also means personal and lifelong learning is the key element, and we heard this morning as well. So for example, we had a sales kickoff, and normally in a sales kickoff you shout 24 hours how great you are and that you are the greatest sales team in the world. We didn't do that this year. We shouted a little bit, but then we were speaking 23 hours about how important lifelong learning is. And we launched, we call it the Vodafone University, a really inspiring name. But it is a learning platform where you can actually learn everything that is really important for your current role, but you can also learn what is not necessarily important for your current role, but you think you're passionate about and will become your next job. Right, so it combines all the learning material. And there are more platforms out there. We spoke with IBM who at some point, you know, after asking them 20 times said, yeah, actually, there is no large differentiation in these learning platforms and the content on the learning platforms. Why would Vodafone create the agile learning journey in a different way than any other company would do? Why would we spend this effort, particularly if maybe 50% of the learning that our people currently do happens on YouTube, which is a free platform anyway? So it would be so simple for us as organizations to share the learning content across our organizations, because it's the same anyway, and we will not have any differentiation issues at all. That's again a moment to tackle me. So use a clear and consistent narrative, so combined with the purpose, because your people will be quite anxious as well, as you will be, as we all are. Use a clear and consistent narrative. So we explain why is digital important, that it will not move away, what does it mean with our customers, what does it mean internally, and so on. And we use this consistently. This is just always the same. We updated our leadership model, yes, because we see significant shifts and therefore also the performance approach. We are not there yet, where maybe we should become to, but this is also, you know, one step after the other. So we had a 9-box matrix, now we have a 4.5-box matrix, kind of. So these are the key leaderships, for example, that we believe will happen, and I also believe they're universal. That's why I'm happy to share them here as well. When we talk with our customers, so for example, I look after the organization that works with our most global customers. They are asking for this. They would like to talk about what does it mean for our leadership and which way does it change as well. And obviously, be bold, experiment, fail fast will be the thing that will be the toughest, because our leaders were all on their journey to become leaders because they did everything right. No? And now it's about just trying something, failing, admitting to fail, and do it better next time. So I believe agile and smart ways of working. So what I mean with this agile is really having agile as a new way of developing new products, but also using it as a way to optimize processes and so on. And smart ways of working is empower your people as much as possible, to give them the autonomy to find the best way, the best time for them to do their jobs. Everyone will ask for this, right? And we've been speaking about the 4 hours earlier. It's maybe not that significant, but it's something that at least they should feel. Well, people should feel that they are able to do something differently. So this is our digital journey. We don't know where will this end up. I said this before. We started now doing some in my organization, my part of the Vodafone world. We started with strategic workforce planning. Again, we have no clue how to do this in an agile way, iterative way, because you wouldn't do this now in a way where you say, we know exactly how our organization looks like in 5 years. No, we have to do it in a way that we have some scenarios and some assumptions that we then work really hard to make them true or make them happen. But this needs to obviously be a continuous process. So that's what I mean is you don't die in pursuit of perfection. It's a German saying that always like you don't want to, you möchtest nicht in Schönheit sterben. You don't want to die in beauty. So test, fail quickly. If it doesn't work, if the 4.5 box matrix doesn't work, move on, adjust, and talk about the failings, right? Make sure that the organization understands that this is now the new norm, that we have to figure it out while we do it. Good. So that was my speed dating part. Do we still have time for questions? Good. That's good. So any questions? Anything that you might think resonated with you and you would like to explore a little bit more? Anything you think is wrong? Happy to take it.
Right. Just exploring your digital ninja proposal there. And my understanding is this is around the top 200 leaders and trying to get them to embrace more digital to be able to actually really roll on that. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you did that and how they received that?
Yeah, so I can't talk about how 200 people perceived it, but I think overall the outcome was that they started using tools that they didn't use before because the Digital Ninja gave them the opportunity to learn how to do this in a safe environment. Right? Because at the end it was not exposing that you are not able to use the OneDrive. It is the Digital Ninja being with you, and you saw maybe this one sequence. It's actually our current group HR director, Ronald Chelikins, with the ninja standing behind him and trying to do. So it is in their closed, relationship. They learn tools that they will. And I still want to learn, for example, more about how I can use LinkedIn to propagate my services. So I'm reached out to a graduate who is a social media specialist to talk me through what I should do there, because I'm still very mechanical there. Adam, do you have any personal reflection about it?
No, but it was a very positive experience. I mean, it's kind of unusual, isn't it? Because you're used to sort of, particularly as you get more senior up the organisation, used to sort of communicating a vision, a strategy, the ways to do things, the working collaboratively, all those sorts of things. And then suddenly, you just don't know what you don't know. And then you're sort of thrown into a spin where somebody coming in the early years of their career just knows more about something than you do. So that's quite uncomfortable and causes, I think, a degree of sort of anxiety. But actually the way that they approached it, the way they went through it, was very informal, very interactive. You could feel it quite vulnerable. I think it was very powerful. And it was a really strong message to the organisation that we're just going to have to do things a bit differently.
Were they kind of like individual coaches that how do you get one?
Well, get a ninja. Essentially what we were doing was we were picking more sort of millennial types, I guess, who had sort of born through sort of digital backgrounds, came in, understood coding, understood more about the ecosystem than some of our leaders, and they simply volunteered. We put a bit of a structure around it. We paired them up with a senior leader within the organisation, and it just went from there. And it came more about them wanting, they were really enthusiastic about it, and the senior leaders, you had to initiate the learning yourself. So if you wanted to learn more, you simply said to your person, please come and spend another hour with me, and then you set up a meeting or a session every 2 or 3 weeks, and then it just went from there. Right. And then the curiosity starts to build.
Yeah, it's a proper upward coaching. Sometimes it was the leader asking for something specifically. Sometimes it was the digital ninja saying, "Did you ever try that out?" So yeah, it was very. Was it 2 years ago when we launched it or so?
Yeah.
It was one of the very early moments when I think for our top leadership team it was clear, oh my God, the world has changed around me so quickly, and because I've outsourced all my administrative stuff to my PA, I have no clue how I book my own travel anymore, right? Then, yeah. All right, good. Any more questions?
I can speak loudly. I'd like to know a bit more about Singularity University.
Yeah, Singularity University is in California. They provide programs. Their purpose is to help us to understand how disruptive the future will be for us. And so that we then take appropriate actions, not only for our businesses, but I think also individually, as well as society or your charity work or whatsoever. So that's their business model. They have executive programs. So what we did, we sent our exco to them, right? The top people. And I think for some of them is a life-changing event. So we first piloted it. I've been working with one of our leaders together who was the first one we experienced it, and he came back and he was like that. And so it's just, and they have just single nuggets of wisdom that you can also find on YouTube. But it's this particular, the exponential organization and this problem of human brains to think about exponential development. They have this little example. If you take 20 steps, if I take 20 steps from here, I will be maybe with you or maybe in the corner. But if you take 20 times, just double your steps, you will be to the moon and back and half to the moon again. And you know, who would think that? You know, if you would think, well, maybe a kilometer or a mile for you. But not to the moon and back and halfway too. And this is, they showcase this slide. And then you have the businesses like Caterpillar. They say, yeah, but this doesn't touch me at all. They always use this example of Caterpillar saying, you know, digital transformation doesn't mean. But then they were talking about how drones will be able to lift things easier and quicker to various points. And I was thinking, oh my God, yes, this disrupts our business. And that's where they help. They help to identify where technology creates service models that these service models will disrupt your service model.
Hi, you mentioned Yammer, and we have a real hit and miss relationship with Yammer, but it's the tool that we have, and we need to just exploit it more. How does it work for you?
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, 1 minute. Oh, that's good. So let me wait 1 minute. No, so actually it was super. And the Yammer guys, the Microsoft guys, they came and said, how do you do that? Because we would like to learn from you and so that we can help other organizations. And it's back to our culture. If you're not really on it, it's a bit, you know, competitive again. If you're not really yammering that much, you might miss something else. There's a fear of missing out. But our relationship to Yammer, looking into the future and how Yammer will develop, was not that great. So we decided to work to move to Facebook, and that's what we currently do. We rolled it out, which is a bit of a pity because actually all your social networking, and there's significant Yammer social networking happening, many groups, and so on. But the mobile experience in particular was not good enough. The live webcasting capability was not great enough for us. So we now moved to Facebook and then see how that works. But what really worked well is you have to connect it again. So everything is connected. You cannot just launch Yammer and say, now you have Yammer. There must be a purpose behind and what you now want to do it. What would you like to do with that now as an organization in smaller buckets? Yeah. All right. Yeah, so you can catch me. I'm here for the rest of the day. If you have any more questions or something that you would like to reflect on, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you very much, Jan.